Hello everyone, welcome to Trades Talk. I am your host, Pop Culture Mechanic. Please call me Pop for short. And in case you don't know, in this stream, we look at the industrial side of things. What it's like to be out there in the skilled trades, what to expect, how to get into them, and various other things that happen to pop up in the industrial side of things. Before we get any further, I'd like to say welcome, Alex Moore. Nice to see you. And Comic Relief Crusader. What's going on, man? Nice to see you. So, as anyone who follows me knows, we start off with sort of news of the week. We get into what's going on on the industrial side and see whether there's companies starting up or closing down, or whether they're making profits, or, maybe they're losing. But let's have a look and see. I usually go to Plant Magazine for this, just to see if they have pretty slow news week, it looks like. The first one they've got up is Gildan Activewear names Vince Tyra as new CEO. The U.S. government says New Hampshire computer chip plant, the first to get funding from CHIPS law. Well, I'm interested in seeing that. What's going on? Let's see what they have to say. Government officials said the investment in the Bay System facility will ultimately save money for taxpayers. All right. The Biden administration announced the first of many coming federal investments in computer chip production, saying on December 11th that it would provide $35 million for Bay Systems to increase production at a New Hampshire factory making chips for military aircraft, including F-15s and F-35 jets. This would be the initial allocation of incentives from last year's Bipartisan Chips and Science Act, which provides more than $52 billion to boost the development of manufacturing of semiconductors in the United States. So to me, this is a good idea. Make the semiconductors in the United States. That way you're not relying on China, the company that can hold you hostage. Do this instead. Make them in your own country, which will go to Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, ugh, what a fiasco that is. It goes on here. The Commerce Department's choice of a military contractor instead of a conventional chip manufacturer reveals the national security focus of the law, as more and more weapon systems depend on advanced chips that can be decisive in both preventing and fighting wars. We can't gamble with our national security by depending solely on one part of the world or even one country for crucial advanced technologies, said Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, who called the investments a once-in-a-generation opportunity to advance our national and economic security and create a thriving, long-lasting, domestic semiconductor manufacturing industry. A lot of words there, a lot of fancy words. Hey, Godzillionaire, how you doing? Trading places, yes. President Joe Biden signed the incentives into law in August 2022, partly out of concerns that a military attack on Taiwan could deprive the world of advanced computer chips and plunge the U.S. into a recession. The pandemic revealed the fragility of computer chip supplies as a worldwide shortage curbed U.S. auto production and pushed up prices around the start of Biden's presidency. Over the coming year, the Department of Commerce will award billions more to make more semiconductors in America, invest in research and development capabilities to keep America at the forefront of new technologies, Biden said in a statement. He said that all by himself? That's pretty good. Somebody didn't say it for him? Biden also said the incentives his administration is providing have already led to more than $230 billion in planned investments in semiconductors and electronics. The Democratic president has gone to a planned Intel factory in Ohio and a new Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing company plant in Arizona, as well as touted investments by IBM while in New York. Biden has made these financial commitments part of his pitch to voters ahead of the 2024 election, saying his policies have energized the U.S. economy. You tell me, my American friends, has he energized the U.S. economy? Are you guys, full speed ahead? Is everything booming? I have to know these things. I don't live there, so you have to tell me. Government officials said the investment in the Bay System facility will ultimately save money for taxpayers, the money being paid out as the company hits benchmarks, will help quadruple the plant's production capacity, helping to halve the price of making the chips and leading to net savings for the federal agencies buying the chips. So that doesn't make any sense to me. So the government, which is using the taxpayers' money to, fund these corporations to make the chips, and then they're using the government to buy the chips off them for their federal agencies. So once again, double dipping. You don't understand how people think government subsidies to skew the free market are a good... Yes, I was just saying they're using the people's money. They call it the government's money, but it's the people's money that they've taxed from you, and they're just giving it to corporations, and then they're going to buy the stuff off the corporations that they use to fund the corporations. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. So buying from China. Hopefully not. Let's get away from that. Let's not do that anymore. Grocer profits set to make a new record in 2023. I don't know if I like this either. New research by the center found that food retailers are now earning more than twice as much profit as they did pre-pandemic. So, doesn't that tell you that what they call so-called inflation is just a bunch of baloney? And these guys are just, if they're making twice as much profit, then their costs didn't go up. Isn't that right? Tell me if I'm wrong here, but if you're making twice as much profit before the pandemic, then your costs must have stayed the same. Okay. The Center for Future Work says profits in the Canadian grocery sector will likely exceed $6 billion in 2023, setting a new record as they rise 8% from last year. New research by the center found the food retailers are now earning more than twice as much profit as they did pre-pandemic. Jim Stanford, economist and director of the Center for Future Work, is set to present the report's findings later today in House Commons Agricultural Committee meeting on stabilizing food prices. Eric LaFlèche, president and CEO of Grocer Metro Inc., is scheduled to present during the first half of the committee meeting. Last week, executives from Loblaw, Walmart, and Empire Company presented before the committee. The major grocers have been under pressure from the government to enact plans that will help stabilize food prices. Yeah, okay. They're keeping their margins the same. 10% margin on $20 is twice as much as on $10. Okay. I knew somebody would be able to explain it better than me. But it still seems ridiculous that, the way the inflation has gone up. It's terrible. Hey, DJ Ronnie G, how you doing? Moving on to our next article, Auto Trader report shows Canadians are buying vehicles practically. So they're not going for the expensive and exorbitant or opulent vehicles. In a year marked by economic turbulence and higher than ever vehicle prices, marketplace research data suggests vehicle buyers still holding an optimistic outlook. All right. Data released from Auto Trader, an automotive marketplace, provided a revealing look at vehicle shopper preferences in 2023 in a year marked by economic turbulence and higher than ever vehicle prices. Marketplace search data suggests vehicle buyers still hold an optimistic outlook. Yeah, don't do this. Don't repeat in your first paragraph, don't repeat your byline there. It's just lazy. Among Auto Trader's top search for vehicles of 2023, 60% of the lists comprises luxury sedans and sports cars. The Porsche 911 rose for the first time to the number 2 spot nationally, up from number 6 last year, moving the Honda Civic down 1 spot to 3. The Ford F-150 made its 9th appearance as Canada's most sought-after vehicle, and the Dodge Ram 1500 climbed its way back up to top 10, the second truck to break through since 2019. While Auto Trader's top sold vehicles of 2023 include many commonalities with the top search vehicles, this list is decidedly more practical in nature. 90% of the top 10 vehicles sold in Canada, according to Auto Trader, are functional utility vehicles, like trucks and SUVs, with not a single luxury brand appearing. The departure between the search and sold data sets perhaps suggests that in a year where wallets are top of mind, Canadians may be interested in aspirational vehicles, but they are landing with more practical purchases. Also, the ones that are probably the cheapest. Let's face it here, really. We're just talking inflation. You're not going to go out and buy a car that's going to be double what it was before the pandemic. You're going to try to find something that's on the cheaper side, maybe even used. It doesn't even have to be new. But yes, here's the list. Top searched vehicles for 2023. F-150, Porsche 911, Honda Civic, BMW. That's a luxury series, isn't it? BMW? Come on. Toyota, Ford Mustang, Mercedes-Benz, Chevrolet Corvette, and Dodge Ram. The top sold vehicles: Ford F-150, Dodge Ram 1500, Ford Escape, Chevy Silverado. A lot of trucks there. Honda CR-V, GMC Sierra 1500, Toyota RAV4, Nissan Rogue, Jeep Wrangler, and Honda Civic. Okay. The searched ones, sure, people will look at the Mercedes and BMWs, I guess, but the top sold ones, there isn't a Mercedes or BMW on there. You want to drive an F-117? Well, just join the Air Force. I'm sure you could do it. Or an F-91, it runs on nuclear fusion. Yeah, why not? I don't know. I'm hanging on to my car as long as I can. I'm not going to try to buy anything new or used for a long time. I'm just going to keep doing regularly scheduled maintenance on my car and making sure it runs well into the future. Because buying car, that's your second biggest expense next to your mortgage. But that's it for the news there. Pretty small news week there. I found this article on the Journal, the newspaper site here. Tackling Alberta's skilled labor shortage means investing in education. Okay, we should know this already. But we'll go over it and let's see if they get it right here. Canada's skilled labor shortage is reaching a crisis point. A report last year from the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters should concern all Canadians, not just policymakers. Based on input from over 560 manufacturers in 17 industries across the country, the survey found that almost two-thirds had lost or turned down contracts and experienced production delays due to a lack of workers, including welders, machinists, and industrial mechanics. Hey, Jake D! How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. The cost to the Canadian economy has been considerable. According to the CME, the penalties and lost sales resulting from the labor shortage totaled more than $7 billion. Postponed or cancelled capital projects resulted in another $5.4 billion in lost investment. And that's just the manufacturing sector. The energy, transportation, advanced manufacturing, and construction industries are also struggling to find and keep the workers they need. Alberta, in particular, stands to lose out. In September, the Resource Diversification Council released a report examining the economic and employment impacts of $22 billion of proposed projects in the province. According to the RDC, the projects will boost Alberta's GDP by over $100 billion and generate nearly $32 billion in tax revenue. The catch? They will require more than 20,000 skilled workers at a time when construction industry is already experiencing severe shortages. Okay, you've stated the problem. Are you going to figure out what the solution is? Just 2 months after the RDC released its findings, the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation sounded a similar alarm in their October 2023 housing supply report. After looking at the residential housing landscape in Edmonton, they found that labor issues related to the shortage of skilled tradespeople seem to be worsening as the housing market begins to heat up in the province. This has left industry stakeholders reporting an inability to keep up with building timelines. Okay. It's no wonder that between January and July, housing starts dropped by almost 19% compared to the same time period last year, despite rising demands for housing. As a result, the provincial government is now predicting housing starts to average just 31,000 units this year, down from the 38,000 forecasted in the last budget, and 2022's annual pace of 36,500. Alberta's housing shortage is already having considerable knock-on effects. In particular, it's making it harder to attract and retain skilled workers, sparking a vicious cycle that threatens to sap our prosperity and undermine our quality of life. The skilled labor shortage has been created by a number of factors, including baby boomers retiring out of the workforce. Yes, that is true. I've seen that firsthand. In large numbers and not enough young people choosing to pursue careers in the skilled trades. Immigration will help combat Canada's aging population, but we need creative solutions to overcome the misconception that a trade designation has less value, merit, and worth than a 4-year bachelor's degree. Thankfully, Alberta is ahead of the curve on this front. Okay, let's see. What they need ahead of the curve on? As General of Woopstook Armored Corps, you approve of Jake D's message? The Armored Corps, eh? Nice. One of the provincial government's early acts after the 2019 election was to appoint a task force to evaluate and reimagine the province's skill development and apprenticeship system. In its final report, the Skills for Jobs task force recommended a range of solutions, including raising awareness and understanding among youth, strengthening pathways, and professionalizing trades careers to enhance their standing. So I was hearing this when I was going to trade school back in the early 90s. I was hearing all about how the baby boomers were going to retire and we'd be able to have the pick of our jobs that we wanted. And it's come true. It has come true. I was able to land this newest job of mine and, I was like, well, you know what? I'll give it a shot. So I sent them my resume and had the interview, and the interview went for like 5 hours. It was good. It was a good interview, and they must have liked what they heard. And here I am now. I'm working there, and it's great. It's awesome just to be able to go and pick what job you want to go to next. You're not hearing enough about diversity and inclusion in this solution? I see. I don't think you see a lot of blue-haired people at trade schools. But we'll see. But if we keep ramping up inflation, the baby boomers can't afford to retire. It's a bulletproof strategy. Yes, that's right. Make it so their savings are worthless. So they have to keep working. Let's see. Okay, it goes along here. Encouraging more Albertans to get into the trades is obviously important, but we also need to ensure we have the necessary education and training infrastructure to welcome them. Alberta may be home to some of the world's best polytechnics, but these facilities need to be updated if they're to accommodate more students and host new technologies and tools. I've gone to the polytechnic schools here, and they're fine. I mean, it's good enough for what you need. Depending on who you work for, you're not going to have the state-of-the-art things they have for you in school. So, if you're working on something that's old in school, it might just be out there on the job, rather than something that's like all fancy, new computerized stuff. But we'll see. That's just my opinion. That's just what I've noticed. Whoopa Troopa, how you doing? In case any of you didn't know, Whoopa was back streaming. He was playing some Stardew Valley, and it was nice to see him back again. Doing his stream thing. It's great. In preparation for the future-ready workforce the province needs, the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology has started planning a state-of-the-art advanced skills center to raise the profile of apprenticeship education. The center will attract more students to apprenticeship, including a focus on underrepresented learners like Indigenous peoples. The Advanced Skills Center will graduate the workers critical to growing and diversifying the province's economy because it will be designed in partnership with industry to ensure graduates can transition seamlessly into the career of their choice. I think they do that right now. I don't think they need to build a new state-of-the-art skills center. I think they have that they need right now. But whatever, it's a post-secondary institution that's trying to suck money out of the government. So of course they're going to say things like that. Hey, Nico, how you doing? Nice to see you. A few years ago, you were designing parts for a machine made in the 1940s. There you go, Godzillionaire. And I've probably worked on some of those machines. Actually, I got a story for you. I worked on a milling machine from the Soviet Union. So we had a machine shop where I was at, and they had a milling machine from the Soviet Union, and this thing was heavy. It didn't have to be that heavy, but it was heavy. Like, you take a cover plate off, you need somebody to help you take that thing off, because they just loaded it up with extra steel. It was crazy. And trying to find parts for it, there was just no way. It's like, we just had to like finagle with it and mess around inside to try to get the feed screw to move just right and stay in place. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, a Russian milling machine. Just what the trades need focus on, diversity. Yeah. Well, Godzillionaire was asking for it. He was asking about it. It's an ambitious undertaking, but one that is essential to Alberta's future. Between our unrivaled entrepreneurialism and valuable commodities, the province's prospects are as bright as ever. If we can't meet our skilled labor needs, however, this potential will go unrealized. With vision and determination, we can unleash decades of prosperity for the benefit of all Albertans. Yeah. Pretty speech there at the end, but they've got to get more high schoolers interested in the trades. You know, people have to stop looking down on the trades. You can make excellent money. You can live a good life, have a good lifestyle. It's not your knuckle dragging mouth breather anymore. You got to be smart. You got to be savvy. You have to know your computers. If you want to use like maintenance software, email. I email so many vendors in a day. It's unbelievable. And the vendors, my managers, anybody I need to talk to in the company, because we're spread all out we have our main plant where we're at, but then, the head office is in Toronto, and then you can send mail down, into the States where you have to talk to, vendors, and you need to have that knowledge. So that's, you're not, like I say, you're not a mouth breather. You're doing everything with technology nowadays. Your official title, Armored General? Electrician? Bah, but what do you know about 18th century French ballet, you mouth breather? Always count on you, Godzillionaire. It's going to be like the new South Park episode of all the tradesmen are rich because AI replaced all the other jobs. You're not too far off. So during the pandemic, a lot of people could work from home, except for me, because I'm a tradesman. My job requires me to go into the field, see things with my own two eyes, work with my hands. I can't do that with a computer. So a lot of people, it was probably saw how a lot of people were unnecessary. But yes, that is, the skilled trades needs to have a better look to them. They have to expose it to the younger generation, high school, even elementary school, junior high, whatever it happens to be. Just let them know you make good money, and you see these guys driving around in $80,000 trucks and all that. That's because they're earning the good cash. They can pay for it. And you can work as little or as much as you want, depending on who you're with, earning like lots of overtime or whatever. Depending on the company you're at, you could work, maybe 6 months out of the year and then take the rest of the 6 months off. I've known guys to do that. There's other guys that work like 14 and 2, so 14 days and have 2 days off. Like there's all sorts of different shifts you can work where you can fly in, fly out. You're going to have, you're going to work 12-hour days for 14 days straight, and then you're going to have 2 weeks off. It's just all the different places out there. Nika Nika reminds you of the time you got confused playing Among Us, couldn't figure out how to fly the ship. Remember those union guys complaining about barely being able to afford their second boat? Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, life is hard. Sounds like first world problems to me. But yeah, you guys know. You guys know what we need to do. I've talked about it lots on the channel, like lots, probably ad nauseum. You guys are probably sick of it. But if anybody new that's listening, I just want you to know, like, the trades are a good career path. You will have a good life if you learn a trade, and you'll keep it with you for the rest of your life. Nobody can take it away from you. I wanted to move along now that we've done that. A little bit of a shorter stream because I'm going to be moving over to Rancor Steve's channel on Rumble after this. We're going to talk about Christmas movies and how they affected us. Yeah, next up. Okay, so I'm bringing this up because I think it's important and it gets forgotten about easily. When you're using anything, or if you buy safety equipment and you have it at work, you work in trades, you traded your liberty for a steady job. Talk about Die Hard. I bet you it's going to get brought up. It's going to be somebody's favorite Christmas movie. Okay. So when you buy safety equipment, you pretty much are like, okay, we need a fire blanket, or we need a fire extinguisher. Okay, you buy it and then you forget about it. That happens way too often. And I brought it up because I'm working on something today that's drop the link to the next Rumble stream afterwards. Sure, Blaine's not with us tonight. Yeah, I can do that. I'll have to do a little bit of finagling, but I can do it. And when you get your safety stuff like this, like a fire blanket, so where I'm at, it was brought up that maybe our old fire blankets are made of asbestos and we should probably get rid of them. So that being brought up, the guys do have a list of things to check, and all they do, they never looked over the blankets. They would just go and check and make sure they were in their spot. But once it was brought up that there could be asbestos in them, they had to be removed. So I was put in charge of getting them removed and disposed of, and buying new ones that weren't asbestos. These ones are, the new ones I have are wool blankets, and because who knows how long those blankets were there for. The plant has been around since the 1960s. There's machinery that's still from the 1960s in there and working. So who knows if they wouldn't bother with looking over the blankets carefully. Maybe they were asbestos blankets. So yeah, and for those of you that don't know, asbestos is a major health hazard. It gets in your lungs and it can kill you. So anybody mentions asbestos or asbestos abatement, you stay away from it. You run. Does that blanket count as a safety save? It's a blanket save. Can't cross the streams. When it comes to the risk of exposure to an asbestos blanket on being on fire, I'll take my chances with the asbestos. Yes, but now we don't have to worry about that because the asbestos blankets are gone. We have wool blankets. And it's just, my point being, people buy safety equipment and then they don't even think about it ever after that. Another thing, now this happened today. This is a capping kit for a rail car. If you have a leak out of any of those valves, you take this blue bar, this spreader bar, put it across, put the caps over the valve that's leaking and tighten it down to stop the leak. So today, I had a fella come up that came to our plant from Midland, because this is a Midland capping kit, and I showed him. I said, look, this thing doesn't fit on here. The manway, the opening, was too long for the bar to go across. So I said, look at this doesn't work. And he was like, oh man, we have to do something about that, because it's almost like you don't have anything here that can be, that will be safe to use. You can't cap off your equipment. I'm like, yeah. So we got the ball rolling on that, figuring out a solution to get the proper arms that can go across this manway. But once again, this is something that nobody ever goes to their safety equipment, opens it up to see how it works. But because no one had ever had any training on that, we told the management, and they were like, okay, well, we'll get some training on it. And when we were doing the training, we found out that this is no good. We can't use this. So that's a lesson for everyone. Okay, Jake D. Sleep well, buddy. We'll see you next time. Let this be a lesson to everyone. Like, just because you have safety equipment doesn't mean you know how to use it, or doesn't mean that it's right for what you need. You never know. Maybe the stuff you have is water damaged, or maybe the mice got into it and started eating it. Don't just buy it and forget your safety stuff. Ask your management for training, because you can be like, hey, we're not trained on this. How are we supposed to use it? And yeah, it just gets forgotten about. You guys, everyone needs that training, and they need to see whether there's any deficiencies, because that's what'll happen, and it'll come to bite you when you need it most. So if you need a blanket, a safety blanket or a fire blanket, or if you need a capping kit, and you go to use it, and all of a sudden you realize it's an emergency and you're panicking and this thing isn't fitting. Well, now what? Well, aside from gassing out the whole area and having to evacuate, like it's gone from bad to worse. Yeah, you're looking forward to Blaine cracking jokes and stuff, but he's out seeing the Blue Heron and the Boy, the Studio Ghibli film, and he's going to have a review of it after the next day, probably. I'll see what he has to say about it. I'm not totally convinced on watching that yet. But yeah, and there's so much safety equipment and so many checks you can do. And I've learned a lot myself just being in this new company, that our SCBAs need to have the air changed out every year, because air gets stale. And you have to have flow tests done on your SCBAs, because the regulators need to be flow checked and has to be documented. So like, okay, every year our fall arrest harness needs to go out for third-party testing and checking over. So that's another thing. You have to send out all the things that are related to your harness, your lanyard, your self-retracting lanyards. All that stuff needs to get sent away and looked over by a third party. But it's something that not everyone thinks about. So there are laws and such to follow, for doing your checks on all the safety equipment you have. But I think it's easily forgotten about. Did you guys know that first aid kits have expiry dates on them? I think it's every 2 years. You have to take all the stuff out of your first aid kit and replace it with fresh stuff. That sounds wasteful, and it's, you might think it's dumb, but I guess they do it for a reason. It's better to have stuff that's fresh and not old. Might work a little better. Oh, fire extinguishers. That's another good one. Fire extinguishers. Every year, your fire extinguishers have to get looked over by a third party. I think we do it weekly. The operators go around and check that the extinguishers are fully charged and there's nothing wrong with them. But then every year, in comes a certified third party, and they come and they check over all the extinguishers. And it's easily forgotten. What else? Lifting equipment. Lifting equipment is really important. You're going to have to get your crane, whether it's be just like a single gantry crane. You're going to have to get that checked out, and they will probably do like ultrasonic testing or mag particle checks on all the welds to check for cracks. As soon as you start getting cracks and such on that, people are going to die. That's all there is to it. You're lifting heavy things, you have cracks in the structure, people are going to die. You don't want that. You want to go back home safely. OSHA approved images. Yeah, well, hopefully. But yes, there's a lot of things to take a look at, and also to get checked every year. Yes, fluorescent penetrant inspection, black lights for safety. Yes. Yeah, the ones I've seen though is mag particle and ultrasonic. And I think I've seen them use ultrasonic on the pins, just to see if there's any cracks in them, because it's difficult to see the pins holding up the boom and all that. But yes, and mag particle for the welds, or X-ray if you really want to get into it. You could get X-rays and X-ray all the welds to make sure they're okay. I mean, for us, we want I would like to get a new spreader bar for for lifting up some of these heavy cylinders. Ultrasonic and eddy current are good for wall thickness. Okay, yeah. I used to use one for those big augers I showed you guys last week. To check the wall thickness. And when it got down to a certain, I think it was when it got down to 375, so 3/8 thick, we would take them out of service and send them away. Send them away for more hard surfacing. But yeah, I have, as I usually do, pictures for you guys. So I have some news for you guys. So, not too happy about this, but I'll show you guys. Picture this. There we go. Finally got the sulfur pit lid inlet done. So that's it there. It's all done. It's got the base with the 4-inch diameter threaded nipple up to a swivel cam lock up to a 45, and then the king nipple for the hose. A little tough to see there, but there we go. There's a better shot of it there. 3/8. I see you're using Freedom fractions. We use all the measurement types here, Godzillionaire. But yes, there's the nipple, the swivel cam lock, and I got a special Viton O-ring to go on that because that's supposed to be the best for molten sulfur. And there's the 4-inch 304 stainless 45 degree elbow that goes to the cam lock. So there we go. And I thought everything was great with that. You know, I thought, okay, now we're good. We can unload from the truck, the tanker truck, and things will be fine. Right, there it is there. That's what it looks like. Things are not fine. As you can see, it leaks out sulfur. And it was a little bit coming from where the threads are, so I tightened that up, but then a little more came from the swivel. So I don't think these guys gave me enough ball bearings for the swivel. I think I have to get more ball bearings to hold it a little straighter so it doesn't wiggle around as much. As you can see. So now it leaks a little bit, but only at the end. When it's pumping or when it's just flowing in from gravity, it's good. There's a lot of flow, but as soon as you get down to the small little bit that it's flowing, that's what happens. It leaks a bit. And there's the spreader bar. This thing's 4,000 pound capacity. I want them to buy us one that's 6,000 pounds. Because, where is it? No, I guess I didn't throw that picture in. Anyways, the cylinders this thing lifts up are 3,900 pounds. So I'd like more of a safety factor. I don't want to have to have this thing near the limit all the time. I'd rather have a bigger safety factor. If we can have a 6,000 pound capacity, then that'll be much better. And I know the operator would like that as well. But yes, all it does is the cylinders lay on their sides. This thing just comes over, it just grabs the ends with the 2 hooks and lifts them up right there. But this thing needs to be checked every year and load tested. So once again, it's another one of those things that can be overlooked. People just use it, they don't think about it. But the rules are that it has to have a load test and documentation and everything with it. You had some jerk salesman want me to drop a spreader bar for him to sell? Just an I-beam and some hooks. What's the big deal? Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just 2 pieces of C-channel. Back-to-back C-channel. Held together. They welded a pin on each end for the hook. Oh yeah, nothing to it. And that's our crane. It's a 3,000 kilogram or 3 ton. It's a 3-ton crane. That's 6,000 pounds for you guys. And yeah, we got our 9.5 ton working load shackle. So yes, that's something I want to see. I want to see us get the 6,000 pound one. We might have to have some modifications done if they're going to make it, because they have them, but they have swivel hooks and not just these ones. So we'll see what they can do. He said the engineering is going to cost a little more to make it with these kind of hooks. So not my money, but I would do it. The company money. But I will keep you guys informed as to what's going on. Hopefully I can get my 6,000 pound spreader bar. And it'll all be a happy ending. And I can let you guys know. Then we can all be happy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Just remember, don't just buy your safety equipment and just leave it off to the side. Get to know how to use it properly. Open it up, have a look. You know, it's important. You can't just think that you know how to work things out. You gotta just get the practical experience you need, no matter what. And then don't forget, you should always document and record all the tests that get done, because there's going to be something that comes up. You know, whether it's a yearly check or 2 yearly. You know, it's going to be something like that. Those hooks are custom. You can get the generic ones pre-engineered, much cheaper. Okay, good to know, Godzillionaire. Yeah, I'm hoping they do what they can do with that. Yeah, I thought I had some pictures. It's not. I guess I forgot to throw those ones on. Oh well. Next time. Show you what we lift up. These cylinders are huge. They weigh 3,900 pounds. So that's how you transport hydrogen sulfide by a truck. So it goes in the back of a long haul truck. And I think they can only take like 6 of them. Is it 6 of them or 12 of them? I can't remember. But yeah, that's how they have to make sure they load the truck carefully and balance the load. Otherwise, the truck drivers will probably have a hard time. But yes, that's pretty much it for today. I'm gonna wrap her up. I'm gonna head over to Rancor Steve on Rumble. Let me just let me get the link here for you guys. You can join us over there. Should be a fun time. Go here, go here, here, this. Here's the link for it. You guys are more than welcome to come by and listen to us chat about it's called Christmas Special, Die Hard, the movies that molded us. So it should be a fun time. Let's see what everybody has to say. Hope you guys can make it. But yes, I would just like to thank everybody that came by today. I'm going to wrap her up just a little early so I can have a little quick break before I hop on. Alex Moore, always good to see you. Cheers to the working man. And Comic Relief Crusader, good old CRC. He'll be there as well. Godzillionaire, it's always a pleasure. You know your stuff when it comes to talking about the engineering stuff. DJ Ronnie G, our tech guy. It's always good to have you by. And Jake D, who went to bed. And Whoopa, nice to see you back to streaming, buddy. Listening to the old chill streams. Nico, it's always fun to have you stop by. And anyone else who happened to be lurking and listening, you know, I really appreciate you. It's you guys that make it fun for me. So please, if you could, hit that like button, you know, spread the word, tell your friends, let them know. Anybody that's interested in the skilled trades, or if they are already in the skilled trades and want to chat, I'm always up for that too. Doing an interview, that's always fun time for me. There's other good channels out there too. You guys should pay a visit to Pacific 414 and Blaine's Escape Corner. He won't be on tonight, but he'll be on tomorrow, I'm sure, for Waifu Wednesday. There's Ronan66, DJ Ronnie G. There's Brandon the Anime Guy, the Nerdporeal Lifeform, Angry Canadian, Our own Whoopa Troopa, who is streaming today. And Punkwaddle, you can find him at Floral from Under Rock and on Snowdub's channel. I have a Discord, it's called The Shop, because that's where all the tradesmen hang out. We hang out at the shop, shoot the breeze, complain about work, all that good stuff. Coming up Saturday is game day. I'm going to continue playing Golden Sun. What a great game. It's just the right level of difficulty and leveling and buying armor and weapons and all the fun stuff in an RPG with a good story too. And then on Sunday, Sunday Anime Chat. The theme of the month is cooking and food. So if you want to come and see some tasty food that they make in anime shows, stop on by. There'll be a big portion for you waiting there. And then we circle around again to Tuesday, Trades Talk Tuesday, where I'll be here again, blowing my horn for the trades, making sure that we get the word out that it's a good career choice, and that we got to fill the gaps. There's the jobs are out there. They're just waiting to be taken. It's gonna get it's gonna be easy if you're in the trades to go get a job, guaranteed. But yes, that is it. I thank you for coming out. You guys are all appreciated by me. And I hope to see you coming up on Saturday. Well, first, let's see you coming out on the Rancor Steve's channel on Rumble. But then I hope to see you on Saturday as I play some games in the morning. But until then, everyone, I've been Pop, and I am signing off.